I'm writing this on Mother's Day, so if I get immediately sentimental or personal, please forgive me. It just so happens that Jason Reitman's 2013 film Labor Day is basically about a boy and his mother and their uneasy relationship. It also takes place in the 80s, the period of time in which I grew up, so as you can see, there is definitely a pattern developing here. I unexpectedly became close to Reitman's film right from the opening. Whether or not he can keep me there was entirely up to him. So hit me, Mr. Reitman. Let's see that big middle finger go right in the face of Hollywood, just like you pulled off with your 2009 film Up in the Air. Please, I beg you, please don't get all Ron Howard on us. I beg you not to be safe, careful, or risk-free. I just want the very best from you. So let's see what unfolds here. The interesting thing about Labor Day is its beginning. The film opens in a state of melancholy. A boy and his mother, played by Gattlin, Griffith, and the beautiful Kate Winslet, respectively, are experiencing the aftermath of a breakup between mom and dad. Years have gone by, and mom is still in a state of shock and unable to cope with life and the outside world. This leaves son Henry basically as the caretaker. You can tell immediately that Henry loves mom and he has become the man of the house. And Reitman's soft opening fits here. You kind of feel a sense of darkness right away that leads into the story at heart as mom and Henry are somewhat kidnapped by a wounded escaped convict played by Josh Brolin. It's here where the film excellently goes from dark melancholia to like horror / home invasion. What's brilliant about Reitman's direction here is that the horror is not so much the act of abduction, but the state of mind that Kate Winslet's Adelaide is at. She's a mess, and her portrayal of a sad, quiet, beaten down woman is on par with Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Excellent setup, excellent performances. Off to a good start. But something becomes rotten in Denmark, though, as the story becomes obvious and tired. You get the feeling that things will become predictable shortly after Brolin begins his weekend stay with the broken family. What could have been a dark masterpiece turns into the usual fluff. Reitman even has the opportunity to save this picture at the end, but he takes the Ron Howard route and distributes happiness on a silver platter. Good for you, you fucking hack.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen, yeah, who am I, right? I get to call people hacks. That's as good as it's gonna get. Listen, Labor Day is worth checking out just to watch Brolin and Winslet do their thing. They're good. Total pros. But if you come from a depressing, dark, and dysfunctional background that grew up in the 80s and you have mother issues, take a pass because disappointment awaits. It's a bullshit ending that plays toward primitive emotions, and I expect more from Joyce Maynard, who wrote To Die For, which is one of the very best films of the 1990s, which doesn't quit until the very end. Unfortunately, this one quits a bit too early, which is exactly what I'm going to do with this review. Joe assigned us Labor Day, 2013's Jason Reitman's film. Kate Winslet and Josh Brolin. I'll tell you, Joe, this, to me, like the first 20, 30 minutes of this movie, I'm locked in. And as I said before, it becomes this usual, fluffy, boring, romantic movie that just is like, it's obvious with its cliched characters. The little girlfriend that the kid gets is just so annoying and doesn't need to be there. You know, if you just pretty much if you just concentrated, just stayed in the house, which is what they should have done, it probably would have been a better movie, even if they just went the route they went in that making it like a happy ending. But I'll tell you this much, and for everyone that listens to the show, I mean, we're gonna, we usually give you spoilers, but I'm gonna ask you right now, if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, just, fast forward a little bit, whatever. But this movie is so fucking ridiculous with its happy ending. It killed me. And I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking to myself, dude, Reitman is going to take us. He's going to get these people. Brolin is going to get this family out of the town, over the border. And then I'm thinking to myself, if this is a good movie, when they get over the border, they're going to stop off at some gas station or convenience store and Brolin is going to disappear. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that would have been a good movie. Instead, I get this boring, fluffy, romantic bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think most of his other films, if I recall correctly, they kind of end up happy, but they have the happy
not
resolves.
Up in the air.
But
Up in the air kind of punches you in the face.
I forget. Well, that's right.
Up in the Air had a ballsy ending, and I was expecting.
It was a ballsy movie. Yeah, it was but the Juno movie had a sweet happy ending.
I never saw Juno.
Yeah, and Young Adult did as well, but he tries to do it in a way that's a little bit surprising. But I sort of agree with you. I think your main beef with this is the end. We're jumping right to the spoiler, but is the final scenes, the very ending, as opposed to the climax, which I thought was a little bit I thought it was actually a little bit off unpredictable, because in a typical Hollywood movie you would have had a shootout or a chase scene and all this stuff, and he didn't actually go and do that, and I thought that was sort of interesting, but I do understand what you're saying, that everybody kind of lives happily ever after, and I get it. And I mean, you knew it was coming from the beginning. I mean, it's the voiceovers there from the beginning, from what he's saying. It's the Tobey Maguire voiceover there.
But did you like the film overall, Joe? I mean, did you? Hey, listen, and I'll tell you something too. And this is what really doesn't make sense, is that I flat out cried at the end, Joe.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, man,
but
I think
it's just because it's like these. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm crying at the end of this movie because it's like these. It's like I'm starting to think that I'm just like, I have a weakness for these soft movies that really just don't deliver. It's like I cried during Babel, and like Billy said, he thought that movie was like cheeseburgers. You know what I'm saying? And that there really isn't much to that movie. And then I go back and I think about it, and I'm like, and I'm thinking about this pattern that I have with these weak movies, and I cry during them,
Oh, well, I mean, if it affects you on an emotional level, man, then I mean, it's a success in some way. I mean, it doesn't matter,
I hear you.
Cerebrally, intellectually what you think about it. But I think that the characters were really well drawn, and they were very, like you said, they were really well played.
They are.
Yeah, my big beef with the movie is that like a lot of this stuff is just completely implausible. You know what I mean? So, like, it just wouldn't have happened like that, like the way that it kind of plays out, which was irksome to me. I mean, you meet somebody in a store who wants.
You say that there's no way that this relationship could ever unfold over this 3-day period.
Well, that was the big one, the 3-day. Like, this guy's a father figure in 3 days, and he fixes up the whole house and teaches the kid to become a baseball player.
Right.
In
a
like
good
6
one.
minutes.
Yeah, the kid's like, he was throwing chicken arm, and now all of a sudden he's throwing pitches like Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, and just the fact
what the
that
hell does that mean? What does that mean? Who's Manuel Rivera?
Oh, please.
Good Lord. I'm muting my microphone again.
It's baseball season, Max. Well,
get used to it.
Show.
It's been going on since the 19th century, Max.
Yeah. Well, why don't we throw it out to the
yeah,
other two
let's
guys
do that, Joe. I think that would be a fair thing to do. Billy, Labor Day, man, how was your screening?
It was awful. I hate this fucking movie so much. I cannot tell you how much I hate this stupid movie. Okay, I have a litany of complaints. One, the retarded kid. This is what contrived screenplay bullshit this was. They trot a retarded kid in a wheelchair out just so they can prove that the handsome, sweaty Josh Brolin is a sweetheart by not, kicking the kid, over or something. But no, he likes retarded kids too. He's going to play baseball with him, right? Then they trot him at the end of the retarded kid scene. They use him as a shitty, suspenseful plot device. Oh, is the retarded kid going to be able to point out that this guy is an escaped convict? And it's like, really? You're doing this in 2013? You're doing this, and so they end the scene with the retarded kid by having the mother slap him, and it goes nowhere. They just slap him, and then that's the last you see. Like, what was the point of all that? You literally trotted that retarded kid out to make Josh Brolin look good and to add a moment of suspense, and then you schlep him off screen again. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit on the unending pie cooking scenes. Enough with the fucking pie cooking scenes. This is going to end up like on a marathon on the cooking channel one day. Yeah. The whole fixing the whole house bullshit. He is the super duper magical fix it man. Like, what kind of romance novel bullshit is this where a guy who comes on, doesn't say much, and fixes everything is like the perfect female ideal? I get so sick of this American male ideal of how much you can suffer is direct. Like, women, like, there's this myth that's schlepped about in romantic movies these days that a man who's an ideal for the romantic woman is someone who can suffer a lot and fix a lot of things. So this movie is basically a guy fixes everything, gets carted away and stuck in prison for 20 years, and then comes out and he's finally earned the right to be with Kate Winslet. That's bullshit.
So he can cook and bake.
Yeah, and
however,
and throw a baseball and fix a flat.
Exactly.
The one good point I will offer about this movie is that if you like dead babies, this is the movie for you. There are 2 on-screen miscarriages, a dead baby stillborn and then hugged, and then a drowned baby. So if dead babies are your thing, this movie is for you. Yeah, that's end of my tirade.
That was another one of my implausibility issues with this. When they hand her, I don't know why they handed.
It's so awkwardly staged. You're sitting looking at this hospital room, and suddenly someone walks in and hands over a rubber baby.
Billy, you didn't mention, as far as pointless minor characters that go nowhere, is that 12-year-old know-it-all punk rock girl that seems to have all the answers for this kid.
Oh, the whole thing was just like, someone's sad and someone magical comes along and magically makes them feel better. Like, what is this?
Here's one my wife called out. It's Labor Day weekend on Sunday, and the library is open.
Right.
And they're hanging out in the library.
Oh, my God! Oh, I read that in the book. It's open because there's a book sale. There happens to be a book sale that day.
That is a delightful bit of contrivance right there.
Thank God.
I have a feeling that Max Cook enjoyed this movie for some reason.
I enjoyed the first 20 minutes very much.
Right.
I enjoyed Kate Winslet from start to finish. I feel like that woman can do no wrong. I feel like it's another situation like when we were talking about Dallas Buyers Club, where I thought the performances were better than the movie. Yeah, I thought she was better than not only every other actor in the film, but the movie itself, the script, everything. She's just a whole other entity unto herself. But here's my problem. I don't understand why modern movies especially cannot get the spanning of time, because I was laughing out loud at the casting breakdown that must have gone out for a young James Brolin. And that kid who looked like he had, I don't know if he had a CG'd young Brolin face on or a Brolin mask, or it was a separate human altogether. But at that end,
it's an actor.
Yeah, last 20 minutes at the end, so laughable. When you throw Tobey Maguire in my face, he's been narrating the whole time, but here he is now, and he's the pie man. So distracting, so unnecessary, so annoying.
Didn't he find him in like a pie making magazine?
Yes. God. Oh, I'm going back into the dark place again.
This movie is just god awful, Joe.
I know. But you know what the funny thing is, though?
Hey, I'm not done with my point, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. But when we're panning in on James Brolin with gray sprayed hair and different spirit come facial hair appliances on his face as the grizzled old prisoner who's now seen it all, writing a letter to Pie Boy. I mean, how the hell am I supposed to take that seriously, how is that supposed to mean anything to me? I think it discredited the entire thing. But I'm with you, Tom, on the whole growing up during the 80s, with the mom and all that stuff.
It fit right into to me, right into my soul, and I was just like, oh boy, I think I might, go along for a nice little ride here, and it just didn't happen. It doesn't work like that. When mom is like that, she doesn't meet a Mr. Nice Guy, fixing up her, waxing floors and making sure the station wagon runs properly. They don't meet that guy. It's not real.
No.
And then to throw in all the other ridiculousness that he's an escaped convict. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous. And
they're ready to run away together after a day of making peaches. And
and see, all that would have made sense to me, like if the movie went into another direction. Like I said, like if you were just watching this scam the whole time, that this guy was just using his family to get out of town, to get over the border. I could get behind a movie like that. That would have been good.
Yeah. This is a melodrama for a woman's fantasy, obviously, who just is throwing all sorts of plausibility to the wind, just so she can live out whatever ex-convict fantasy she has going on with herself. I was surprised about it though, because mostly I like Jason Reitman's stuff. At least a few of his films I've liked. I don't know. How do you guys feel about his?
I
other
love
work?
I've seen Thank You for Smoking. I saw that in the theater. I thought it was witty. I thought it was smart. And I thought it was for a first film. I thought it was actually near excellent.
They have edge. Those other pictures have edge.
Up in the air has edge. Like it does. Yeah. It does. This is just crap. This should have been given to Ron Howard, Joe.
Wow. Well, I guess so. Yes, you're right. It is that feel good meh kind of thing. Like I wouldn't have reacted violently against it really at all unless you're hearing it. It's almost like one of those films that you just forget about after you watch it. Like unless you're really thinking about something. Yeah, exactly. Unless I guess you're thinking about what to say, what to write about it, then it's difficult. So
I don't. It's annoying to just see, like, even simply in the story, there's potential for this. Even in all its ridiculousness, there's still potential to take it somewhere, and it's just avoided. And you're right, Joe. It's all about this Joyce Maynard chick having this fucking fantasy about the perfect man.
All right. Well, I apologize for bringing it up, everybody.
Well, what are your mom issues, Tom? You said you have mom issues. What's one issue with your mother?
Just being a young boy and just having to experience and witness,
her make a lot of bad mistakes.
She made a lot of bad mistakes. She just was, she was promiscuous, and unfortunately, she didn't know how to keep that to herself. It was, when your bedroom is right next to your mother's, and you're listening.
Yeah.
With different dudes, it really, really. It wears on you, Max, mentally.
I walked in on my mom with a dude on top of her, and she looked at me and she's like, "We're making love." My mom went through a whole bunch of dudes, and one was really abusive, and one drooled. His name was Todd, and he.
Oh, what a horrible name.
He drooled, and and it was just like, but I thought I was the man in your life. I thought I was the most important man in your life, and It just wasn't the case for a really long time. And then, I think it kind of carried into my, teen years where, it's like, fuck, man, I really need chicks' attention. And I think even up to today, it's like, that's why I'm so close to women now. I constantly need their fucking attention. Well, not after lunch today. I don't need their attention anymore.
It's funny. I take the opposite. I'm sorry, Joe. I take the opposite approach, though, with that. I think at times I could be cruel to women, because of what happened to me. My brother just reminded me a few weeks ago of a night where I was getting older. I think he said I was about 14 or 15 and he was about 12 or 13, and my mother was having sex in the next room with some dude she brought home from the bar, and he said, I don't even remember this. I mean, this is how much I put this shit behind me. He said that I finally got up out of my bed, went in the bedroom, and told him to knock it off. Like, it was just too loud.
I used to bang on walls.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, and it drives you crazy.
Now, has that carried into adulthood? Like when you see your mommy now, do you just have contempt for her?
The thing, no, it's slowly unraveling. Like it's all that shit's coming off. It's still there. Trust me. It's hard for me to want to get close to her. She's a completely different woman now, Max. Probably just like your mom. You know,
Yeah.
completely different.
Is she much screwier and more dingbatty and much more just out there?
No,
but it's
she's
endearing.
No, she's fine. She has shit together. She has her shit together.
Yeah.
You know, even in her relationship and her marriage, she's, you know, shit won't get done unless she's on top of it.
Right.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So,
do your brothers have a closer relationship to your mom than you do?
absolutely, Chris does, and he always has. Yeah, my brother Chris does. Yeah, my younger brother Chris. Yeah, absolutely. He's always had.
What about you, Max? Do you have any issues with your mom now?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, believe me, that's therapy since 2010 has fixed a lot of that. But no, it just my sister came along when I was 15, and she is the star of the family. I mean, she's perfect. And that's the sister that my mom had with her stepdad. And they are a separate family entity. You know what I mean?
Oh, boy.
I mean, I'm the weird black sheep son from the first true love of my mom's life, I guess, who, died before I was born and whatever. And she never really dealt with it. So she kind of just went from man to man to man to man until she met my stepdad, and then they became their own family unit. And there's 15 years between my sister and I, but my sister and I are so close, it's ridiculous. But with my mom, it's just so funny because I never really talked to her on the phone. I mean, she claims that she doesn't like talking on the phone, and she's all caught up in her crafts, and she just had a really bad fall and broke her shoulder, and I think that kind of snapped her out of her craziness. So I actually learned to just really forgive my mother for everything, not hold anything against her. I don't have the energy to do that. She's a great woman. She raised an amazing other woman, my sister. She's done amazing things in her life. She's very caring and loving and hilarious and goofy.
So I think at what age do you think you start releasing some of the animosity that you hold toward your parents? Probably like it carries over almost into your 30s,
yeah,
right?
With my case, yeah.
I just let go a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll be 44 this summer.
Yeah. Oh, so it carried into your 40s, Max.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, that's a lot. See, but I still have issues too, Joe, and I'm 40. Like, I have not completely released it.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear you.
Like,
I know it was, yeah, I do. I don't have the same issues that you guys do, but I did have a lot of anger.
Well, you're very lucky. You're lucky to be close to your mommy. I mean, that's great, man. That's fucking
awesome.
No.
I don't have the same type of issues, but I do
have your own issues.
Yeah, I have my own shit. Yeah, I don't feel close to my mother.
Does your wife like your mommy, Joe?
Yes. Oh. I was gonna say yes, and my mother's not listening to this. I guess yes and
no. Our mothers don't listen to this. No. Thankfully, none of them.
About that. My mom would
Billy's
know
mom is
how to
listening.
Only Billy's mom listens.
I would be terrified to find that out, and I do worry about that from time to time.
Do you really? Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've learned not to ask Billy personal questions, so.
Right.
It would be fascinating to know about him and his mom, but I certainly wouldn't disrespect his feelings by asking.
Thanks, Max. I appreciate that.
But I do want to bring it back to Reitman and.
Well, I was just gonna say what you guys were just talking about. Like that's just one other implausibility to pile on top of everything. Like this kid grows up so because of this weekend that happens on Labor Day. He's a completely
pie maker.
He's well functioning. He has a full life.
He's Tobey Maguire, for Christ's sake.
He's Tobey Maguire,
right.
like the
and
perfect
there's no
boy.
way that a kid who not only has to deal with his mother just giving up on life completely for years as a young kid, his father, he goes to see his father every Sunday, where he's like a secondary character in that family, that once a week kid.
That's
and
right.
His father he has this new family, and obviously the kid, is not involved in that, and that's mentally scarring.
He's got no problems with just leaving and all this stuff. Like it's ridiculous, man. It is. It's just off the mark in almost every way.
It's insane.
It's just like what
the-
you take when you take like your average schmaltzy like romance novel and you just make it really well. Like he's a great director, you know, and it's beautifully shot and everything, but it's just all in service of bullshit. You know?
Right. That is an excellent point. Now, Billy, have you? Have you screened his films in the past? Have you seen Up in the Air, Juno, or Thank You for Smoking? Any of these movies?
I've seen Juno, Young Adult, and
How's Young Adult?
You know, you should ask Joe. Joe has a personal vendetta against that movie that I've never
Joe,
totally
let's talk about
plumbed into. Yeah, Juno.
I don't.
You know what I liked about Juno was, yeah, he's kind of like doing a twist on the standard formula where you think the movie's really about the pregnancy, but what you really kind of find out is that it's about not letting that get in the way. Like there's nothing wrong with you making a mistake and being too young to handle that and saying that, you know. So it was interesting. I thought that was kind of a nice little twist on what you thought the movie was going to be about versus what it ended up being about. And Up in the Air, I did not think was as good as everyone said. I didn't understand what the big hoopla was. And Young Adult, I like Patton Oswalt, so pretty much anything that he's given a chance to spread his wings in, I enjoy. And I thought Charlize Theron was great in it, but
he stars in Young Adult.
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah,
he's got a big role in that, which was great, you know. And but yeah, I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything, but Joe hates that movie fiercely. Joe.
I do. Yeah. You know what? I had a really bad reaction to it. I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember really hating it. And I think it would be unfair of me to try to do it because to speak really badly against it right now. But I think what was going on was that I was studying or really reading a lot about script writing and like these script screenwriting books have like all these rules and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and I was just really aware of the screenwriter. Just like it would just, I don't know, the screenwriting in it was really obviously like, oh, I'm going to take this screenwriting convention and this no and turn it on its head in this way. And it just seemed really transparent to me in a lot of the ways that the twists and the twists work and the so-called surprises worked. But I haven't seen it in a long time and I don't remember it enough to and it would be unfair of me to really rail against it. Assign it to me one day, Tom, and I'll give you the reasons.
Yeah, Joe, I'll get right on that.
Thank you. I know you're pining away.
Yeah,
to do
because
that.
I'll tell you what. After this recording, in another 10 minutes or so, I'm probably gonna forget about Jason Reitman for a little while.
Yeah. Listen, guys. I'm sorry. I assigned.
Don't
this.
be silly.
I had no idea.
You should be sorry, Joe. We could be reviewing costume dramas right now.
Yeah.
Well, it fit into the theme, so summer movies or whatever, I figured, and it's a new release and it fit in, so I figured I'd check it out, especially since Jason Reitman is an interesting director.
Well, that's
so
the thing. The last two shows, that we're doing this season, you did good because you get Jason Reitman tonight, and then next week on our finale, we get to talk about Sidney Lumet, which you could dedicate like a 4-hour show to Sidney Lumet, if you wanted to, and Spike Lee as well, So
absolutely,
it's definitely going to be a lot of fun, guys. Anything else? Anybody want to throw anything else out there about Jason Reitman, about Labor Day, Winslet, Brolin, anything else before we start wrapping this baby up?
I do think that just one last thing. I do think that Jason Reitman is an immensely talented director, and I think that his best work is and some of his stuff is really good. I think he's going to be around for a long time, man. He's got a really deft handle on this craft here.
Well, he's under 40, Joe. He's definitely. He's going to be around. There's no doubt about it. He's making movies that people are seeing. The biggest stars in the world are working with him.
Yeah, and you know what? He tried something different here because this is much different than his other pictures, and it's not, it's a different tone and it's a different vibe. So he's not afraid to take chances. So he's not going to hit the mark every time.
Hey Joe, do you like Josh Brolin? Can you get into him?
I do, man. I
like him
too.
I like him a lot. It's funny too because we're doing Spike Lee next week, and he was in Lee's movie last year, Old Boy, the remake of Old Boy, and everything. So I was kind of able to get a double dose of Brolin this week.
Yeah, I watched that last
which
week,
is always nice. But we'll talk about Old Boy during the Spike Lee discussion next week. But yeah, I've totally listen. When I saw Brolin in No Country for Old Men, I kind of went nuts with him and like just start. I on my Netflix queue, like this is like 2007. I was watching like every movie that he was in, like leading up to that movie, and he's a real talented guy. And I actually had an opportunity to meet Josh Brolin one night and have a short conversation with him, and he was a very kind, very gracious person.
Okay.
And everything.
Nice.
Yeah, and we were both smoking a cigarette, Max.
I think it's great that there's generations of Brolins to come. There's generations of Reitmans to come. All these Hollywood family dynasties, guaranteed work. I think it's spectacular.
Guaranteed. Well, at least guaranteed an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's the thing with these.
Absolutely. How many more Coppolas are going to come out of Napa Valley and direct movies for us? I can't wait.
It's so funny too because it's
You're a big fan of nepotism, Max, huh?
Loves nepotism. The funny thing is, Joe, is that it's true though. Like you see, like this new generation. Like I'm watching Fargo, and Colin Hanks is the star, you know. And then that Ritter kid, like he's popping up, and there was another young director too. Jeez Louise, I can't remember who it was. That's the son Landis. Like there's Max Landis. Like John Landis's kid, and you know, you just
Val Kilmer's son is one of the stars of the other Coppola girls' new movie.
That is amazing.
Cronenberg Jr. just came out with a movie, from what I understand.
Cronenberg Jr.
The Junior Cronenberg.
That's right.
Really? See, so we're moving onward. We're almost out of here, Joe, and a whole new generation's coming up, right?
That's right. Well, I can look forward to my death and feel good that the movies are in on good hands.
All right, Max, Billy, Joe, thanks a lot. Labor Day is done. I'll see you guys next week. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast is brought to you by Christiana Productions and New Media Limited. The show is edited and co-produced by Joseph Schreck and produced by Thomas Detloff and Joe Christiana. You can follow us on Facebook at The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter, Thomas Detloff, at TCRM Podcast. You could also check out Joe's film work at ChristianaProductions.com and Max and Adam's Bowler Hat Productions and their Mimosa Podcast show. Get over there. Check it out. MaxCookandTheCounselor.com. Music from The Cutting Room is done by the Zillatones. Check them out at www.thezillatones.com or search for the Zillatones at ReverbNation.com. Everyone, we'll be back next week with our big season 3 finale. This is it, Joe. The big finale.
Hooray!
This is so exciting. Joe's given us, what is it, Joe? Summer in the City, right?
That's right.
Oh, it's gonna be a
Yes.
good one. We're doing Sidney Lumet's 12 Angry Men and Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I am so excited.
Max gets 12 Angry Men. He loves the classics, so I'm very
Well, Max is
Now look here, you better get it. You better get it clear through your head. Do you see?
Max is introing 12 Angry Men. Billy's got Do the Right Thing. We're also going to have on the counselor, Adam Shoulder. He's going to come in and say goodbye as well. Until then, people, we are over and we are out. Ciao.
Tune in next time to satisfy more of your strange desires. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We do chicken right.
You fucking hack.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen, yeah, who am I, right? I get to call people hacks. That's as good as it's going to get. Listen, Labor Day is worth checking out just to watch Brolin and Winslet do their thing. They're good. Total pros. But if you come from a depressing, dark, and dysfunctional background that grew up in the 80s and you have mother issues, take a pass because disappointment awaits. It's a bullshit ending that plays toward primitive emotions, and I expect more from Joyce Maynard, who wrote To Die For, which is one of the very best films of the 1990s, which doesn't quit until the very end. Unfortunately, this one quits a bit too early, which is exactly what I'm going to do with this review. Joe assigned us Labor Day 2013. The interesting thing about Labor Day is its beginning. The film opens in a state of melancholy. A boy and his mother, played by Gattlin, Griffith, and the beautiful Kate Winslet, respectively, are experiencing the aftermath of a breakup between mom and dad. Years have gone by, and mom is still in a state of shock and unable to cope with life and the outside world. This leaves son Henry basically as the caretaker. You can tell immediately that Henry loves mom and he has become the man of the house. And Reitman's soft opening fits here. You kind of feel a sense of darkness right away that leads into the story at heart as mom and Henry are somewhat kidnapped by a wounded escaped convict played by Josh Brolin. It's here where the film excellently goes from dark melancholia to like horror slash 13's Jason Reitman's film. Kate Winslet and Josh Brolin. I'll tell you, Joe, this to me, like the first 20, 30 minutes of this movie, I'm locked in. And as I said before, it becomes this usual fluffy, boring, romantic movie that just is like it's obvious with its cliched characters. The little girlfriend that the kid gets is just so annoying and doesn't need to be there. You know, if you just pretty much if you just concentrated, just stayed in the house, which is what they should have done, it probably would have been a better movie, even if they just went the route they went in that making it like a happy ending. But I'll tell you this much, and for everyone that listens to the show, I mean, we're gonna, we usually give you spoilers, but I'm gonna ask you right now, if you don't want to know. I'm writing this on Mother's Day, so if I get immediately sentimental or personal, please forgive me. It just so happens that Jason Reitman's 2013 film Labor Day is basically about a boy and his mother and their uneasy relationship. It also takes place in the 80s, the period of time in which I grew up, so as you can see, there is definitely a pattern developing here. I unexpectedly became close to Reitman's film right from the opening. Whether or not he can keep me there was entirely up to him. So hit me, Mr. Reitman. Let's see that big middle finger go right in the face of Hollywood, just like you pulled off with your 2009 film Up in the Air. Please, I beg you, please don't get all Ron Howard on us. I beg you not to be safe, careful, or risk-free. I just want the very best from you. So let's see what unfolds here. Home invasion. What's brilliant about Reitman's direction here is that the horror is not so much the act of abduction, but the state of mind that Kate Winslet's Adelaide is at. She's a mess, and her portrayal of a sad, quiet, beaten down woman is on par with Shelley Duvall in The Shining. Excellent setup, excellent performances. Off to a good start. But something becomes rotten in Denmark, though, as the story becomes obvious and tired. You get the feeling that things will become predictable shortly after Brolin begins his weekend stay with the broken family. What could have been a dark masterpiece turns into the usual fluff. Reitman even has the opportunity to save this picture at the end, but he takes the Ron Howard route and distributes happiness on a silver platter. Good for you,